10 more. Sorry, hold on. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello, my name is Ryan, and welcome to Anime Nation. Today we're talking anime movies. I got two lovely gents to talk about them with. I got the littest guy in lit RPGs, my boy, Richey. How's it going, Richey?
I like that intro a lot better than my last one, so I'm really excited. That just made my day a lot better. Thank you so much, Ryan.
No problem. Glad to know you're doing well. And a JRPG connoisseur, one of the biggest Persona 5 fans I know. How's it going, John?
Hey, it's going pretty good. Speaking of Persona 5, I've been playing a lot of Persona 5 Strikers, and I'm having a great time.
How is it?
Living up to the name. It's a little grindy. And not so much in a bad way, just that whenever you come across a boss, you never really know what type it's gonna have, and like type advantages and weaknesses are a big deal in this game. So it's just a good idea to keep everyone like even. So I'm just kind of constantly jumping in and out of dungeons just to like make sure everyone's like about the same level and getting new stuff. But other than that, it's Persona 5 the sequel. I really dig that. The story is pretty good. Just similar concepts, except it's a road trip now. So we're going to different towns and stuff's messed up and there's phantom thieving.
Okay. Glad to hear. And now we're going to start with getting into the big topic of today. It's a big topic. Anime movies. A genre I feel like you get into when you first get into anime. Like you watch a lot of Ghibli films, watch a lot of anime movies. And then you kind of just you kind of leave them for a while until like things like Your Name and stuff come out, but not something you really intake a lot once you're past that beginning part in anime and all that. So I figure time to give some love to some anime movies. I'm going to start this off with giving it over to Richey for his first movie.
Ooh, I don't know which one I want to pick for my first one. Honestly, okay, I think I want to go with a favorite. I didn't know how I was going to feel about going into this movie, but the Ni no Kuni movie that was on Netflix. I love the game, and I love how the art style of the games have like that Ghibli art style to it. And then when someone said, "Hey, they're making a Ni no Kuni movie," I was like, "I'm down. Like, hit me." Like I was like, "Are we gonna follow one of the main protagonists?" And they're like, "No, it's a completely new story." Okay, I'm all for it. And then I watched it, and I was already having a bad day. Like I was already emotional, and that movie just broke me to the point of I did not want to watch it again, but I ended up watching it again just to make sure I caught everything, and then I was just like, yeah, this is good story right here. And the animation style for it is absolutely fantastic. The movie itself, like with the story, is just beautiful, and it is a tearjerker. Like I was fighting back tears, and I was like, all right, let's go another round. I'm ready for this.
Now, is it so? It's in a different universe than the first Ni no Kuni. Is it a Final Fantasy type situation?
So
Different
it takes
time
place
zone?
on Earth, but it also takes place in the actual world of Ni no Kuni and the kingdom and everything. And I think let me recheck to make sure that it's a different because I want to say like it's in the same of the three of the kingdoms. Ding Dong Dell. I'm like 90% sure.
Oh.
And I'm looking, I can't remember, but yeah, I'm like pretty sure it's in that Ding Dong Dell like kingdom and everything.
Is the cat guy the king?
No, it's actually a human king.
Okay, so it's like
And the premise is it's three best friends pretty much travel to the world. They jump back and forth between the realities and everything because their friend, her soul is in danger because it's connected to someone in the kingdom universe. So you have modern day, and then you have the kingdom universe. So she's a princess in that universe. Over here, she's just a high school student having a bad time. So her life's in danger, and they're like, okay, well, we have to go save her. So they get sucked through the portal, and one of the friends is actually paralyzed. So he's in a wheelchair for most of the like when he's on Earth, but when he's in the actual kingdom, he can walk. And there's a whole thing behind that, and there's a reason why you learn throughout the movie why they don't have their souls, their soul others in the Ni no Kuni kingdom. And at the end, it's the big reveal of why they don't. And like a lot of people I saw didn't like that, and I was like, that is heartwarming. Like, this is depressing, but it's also heartwarming. Let's go.
So, is it who did this movie? Was it Ghibli?
It's done in the Ghibli art style, but I don't think it was actually Ghibli that did it.
So
Uh,
I don't with Ni no Kuni, like the sequel as well. It's not they weren't able to say that they were working with Ghibli, but both of the games had the same people involved on the animation and character design. It's just that after The Wind Rises, Miyazaki was like, Ghibli is not animation anymore. I'm not doing any more movies, so they couldn't say that they were Ghibli employees, but it uses the same people. I'm wondering if the same character designers that were in Ni no Kuni were in the movie or in the video
so
games.
so the director was Yoshiyuki Momos. I can't pronounce it, and I'm gonna butcher it really badly.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now.
Um, and then the director or the writer for the screen story and the screenplay is Akira Hino. So like this, like honestly, this movie is what restored my love for the like Ghibli animation, and like it's kind of bad like that. I'm going with like the video game anime movies for this podcast, but those are the ones I feel like I enjoy the most,
Mhm.
except for my one of them. So
Okay,
two of them
so
are going to be video game inspired.
The
yeah,
director of it was a key director in Princess Mononoke, Pocoroso, and Spirited Away. So some real heavy hitters out of Ghibli who was the
Yeah.
director
he also
on
did
the
stuff
animation front.
on Only Yesterday and Pompoko as well.
I didn't see it only yesterday. And Pompoko.
I
Storyboard visual design, so not so much
Okay.
animation, but that's still like a key part in like forming the animation style of a movie.
Oh,
If you haven't seen the movie, it is on Netflix. You can either watch the dub or the sub version of it. I watched the dub just because, as I've talked to Ryan about this, hardcore dyslexia, trying to follow a story and reading at the same time while there's a lot of action on the screen, it doesn't
Mhm.
mix. It just doesn't.
Yeah,
So
there's a movie, I'm not sure Ryan might pick it, but if not, I'll bring it up. But there's a movie that I might talk about that I saw it subbed first, and like halfway through the movie, I was like, the next time I see this movie, I'm watching it dubbed because the subtitles are getting in the way of the action. And it is one of the few times that I felt that way. Like,
I'm
um,
curious to see which movie
all
this is
right.
going to be.
And I think with that, let's move on to John's first pick here. What you got for me,
okay.
John?
Do you want? I got two ideas for where I want to go next. Do you want something modern or do you want something classic?
You can do a modern one.
Okay. I'm gonna pick the other one eventually. Um, let's just go to what I was talking about. Promare. I saw Promare in September 2019. When they released the subtitled version into theaters with my brother and his girlfriend, and I
Mhm.
was astounded by the visuals, the effects, all of the stuff going on in that movie. But the problem was, it's it's a Studio Trigger movie, and so when the anime man is like charging up his giant, he uses like an umbrella thingy that in ancient Japan they would use to like ward off fire on hatch roofs by like blowing wind at it, and he starts like doing like he has a robot that's like doing a version of that that's like galactic Milky Way bullshit. And he's like doing this huge speech about how he has like the power of humankind and he's gonna save people. And I'm like, I can't keep up with the speech because I can't tell where the subtitles end and where like all the special effects begins. But as for what Premiere is about, so Premiere is the first actual original film from Hiroyuki Imaishi and the Studio Trigger team. Hiroyuki Imaishi is the director of Kill la Kill at um at Studio Trigger, but before that he was at Gainax and he made Gurren Lagann. He worked on Panty and Stocking. He also did Fooly Cooly.
Worked on Ava.
Yeah, he works on Ava. He's been around. And the issue that he had with everything up until he formed Studio Trigger was Gainax was just really bad with money. Um, they were bad with managing money, and that's why Ava just like
I mean, the end of Ava is drawn in crayon.
yeah, no. There are moments where you can tell where they were like, okay, so we have this many frames, we can reuse them. This shot is storyboarded, we can show the storyboards. All right, let's see what we can do. I'm just gonna draw a squiggly line, and we'll see how we can get that working. So, they
Oh.
ran into that.
You could tell in a Gainax show the minute the budget ran out and what scene killed the budget. Every Gainax show had it.
Yep. They were a little better with Gurren Lagann, but you could tell that they were like, all right, so the first like half of this show, we're gonna see what we can do to get by, so that we can, with the last 4 episodes, just go hog wild and like everything is in those last 4 episodes. But some of those first 4 episode, there's one where they like had a guest director on, and the guy was like, I'm just gonna like do a couple frames for several seconds and just completely change the animation style for an entire episode, and it'll just not mesh with everything. But then Panty and Stocking, it's like a weird side point for them because it's a it's a full comedy show, and the way it came out was they were at Anime Expo one year for talking about Gurren Lagann, and they got really drunk on no, Saturday night, Friday night, and they were watching Adult Swim, and they just thought they couldn't understand any of the jokes, but they just thought it was hilarious what people could do on like Robot Chicken and those kind of shows. So they were like, let's make our own show that's like a parody of Powerpuff Girls and get like really crass humor with it. And because they had simpler like designs and stuff, they were able to do a bunch of crazy stuff in the show. Like there are action scenes in this comedy shows that are like some of the best action scenes in animation of all time.
Oh, the fight against the Devil Twins is real good.
Yeah,
It's real good.
like you could tell that they were saving that.
Mhm.
Uh, and then Gainax was like, "Cool, this didn't make a lot of money, so do you want to adapt a manga, a light novel?" And they were like, "No, we want to do original stuff." And they're like, "Well, there's a lot more money in adapting manga and light novels," and that's why he left and formed Studio Trigger,
Mhm.
because they were only interested in pursuing remakes of light novels and Ava. And then Ano was like, "Hey, you guys suck at funding my Ava project. I'm gonna start my own company and steal Ava from you guys." And they were like, I guess legally you can do that." So now Gainax just does nothing useful anymore, and they shadow themselves. But then with Studio Trigger, eventually they were able to make Kill la Kill, and Kill la Kill hits the entire way through. And that's something that's cool about Kill la Kill, is that they do everything super good. It's really well paced. There is a joke in the like 6th or 7th episode where they're like, "All right, guys, you know what time it is? We got to recap. You might forget of what happened in the last episode, in the last couple episodes." And then in like 30 seconds, they're like, "This fight, this fight, this fight, this fight. All right, back to the action. That's right, Kill la Kill compilation episodes are like 5 seconds long. Let's go. And the rest of the episode is a brand new episode. It's just a dumb joke. And because of that and some of the other stuff they worked on, eventually they got approached and they were like, "Do you want to make a movie?" And they were like, "Hell yeah!" So sorry for that long history of Imaishi and
You forgot
Sugar.
one point there. You forgot Darling in the Franxx.
So the reason why I'm kind of like skipping over Darling and the Franxx is because Hiroyuki Imaishi did not work on that show. It was
That's
a
fair.
collaboration with A1 Studios, and in my opinion,
fair.
it's kind of a train wreck.
Oh,
I'm
it's
not-
it's hot garbage. It has a
I'm
great
not-
romance in there. Episode 1 through 12 is fantastic. The ending is worse than the ending of Ava.
Oh god, yeah.
I'm
I
afraid
hate it
to
because
watch
like
some of these.
oh yeah, okay. So the good / bad thing about all of the things that I've described. When I said that Panty and Stocking was like Adult Swim humor, what I meant was every single one of these shows that I've described has like nudity and like fan service and lewd stuff in it, and then Panty and Stocking is like that's the entire show. The entire show is two chicks who love having sex and eating candy just take off their underwear and use them to fight demons. And the difference between that and Gurren Lagann is that everyone wears their clothes, but one girl is like, I'm going to wear only a bikini, and that is all I will ever wear
Oh,
because we live in
Yoko.
a desert.
So
And you don't need to question this.
so I've watched Gurren Lagann because um my ex got me to watch that, and I watched it, and I was just like, I'm not seeing the appeal here. Like it's good, but it's just not like my style of anime. I've seen the first season of Kill la Kill, and that anime is wild. But I've already added Promare to my list because I am very interested in this.
Yeah, so one of the before I get into the plot, the best thing I can say about Promare is that it is the first Studio Trigger Gainax Imaishi movie that I watched the entire way through, and I was like, finally, a cool kick-ass animated movie TV show that is like really intense fight scenes, really cool over-the-top action that I can watch with my teenage sister. Because growing up, I would like watch Gurren Lagann, and my little sister, like, I think she'd caught like just a robot fight, and she'd be like, "I want to watch this show with you," and I was like, "What are you doing here? You're gonna have to leave because at some point Yoko's gonna show up, and then the pig mole is gonna jump into her cleavage, and that's gonna be really awkward for everyone." But Promare, the only fan service is that the main character never wears a shirt. Or he does sometimes, but like he's a firefighter that like loves taking off his shirt. But like that's okay. Man nipples are okay. That's the world we live in, unfortunately.
Isn't that like every firefighter though?
Yes.
Like what's the shirt?
I mean, I think you're forgetting a few parts about Promare, such as the lolly scientist in a bikini.
Oh Ryan, don't bring up lollies,
Okay,
please.
to be fair, I am very dumb and I thought she was a like genius teenager. Um and she's wearing a lab coat around the bikini.
You're right. The science is there.
Yeah,
The
like
science
she's a
is there.
scientist. Um
Joel's taking notes somewhere right
You're
now.
talking about the firefighter one, not the one that works with Cray
No, the
Foresight.
firefighter.
Okay.
The one who makes
Um
all the tech.
yeah. Cuz like I think of Lily as more personality, and like the other one, even though she's like older, she's all like, "Oh, I can't challenge anything. I have to be quiet and just let everyone walk all over me," and it kind of sucks. Um anyway, the premise for Promare is in our time right now in real life, the world. Um, at some point, people are just doing their daily life and they get real mad about something, and it activates, sort of like X-Men, a gene inside themselves that gives themselves incredible power, but specifically to burn shit. Like just magical burning abilities, and so people just start exploding. The fire doesn't hurt them. They don't like die from like exploding, but like they just gotta shoot flames from their hands. And they keep talking about how they just have a compulsion to burn things. Um, and then it sort of just goes like 50, 40, 70 years later. I can't remember
It's
because I
50
haven't
years later.
50 years later. Um, and so they call these people the Burnish. They just can't stop burning things. And there is I'm a little loose because I haven't watched this in a while, but there's a group dedicated to
The
saving
Mad
people.
Burnish.
No, I was gonna describe the firefighters.
Okay.
Yeah, they save people from the Burnish. Mad Burnish is a terrorist group that just goes around setting things on fire seemingly indiscriminately. But that's a red herring. And the what's it called? The firefighter group is mostly set about stopping them and saving people from them. And there's another group that is a bunch of police officers that do the actual arresting and apprehension of the Mad Burnish. And you later find out that they like take these like anyone that has Burnish powers and like incriminates them, uh, imprisons them, men, children, and then you learn that if the Burnish don't burn things, they eventually die. And it's really cool because at some point they start establishing like this whole push and pull between the the Burnish like being stuck in a situation where they're unhelpful to society, but they can be redeemed in somewhat, and like it's not like they want to hurt people. They reveal that they always leave an escape route at some point. Um but then there's like even a scene where like there's a guy who's really good at making pizzas. His name is Marco. He's really good at making pizzas. Um, and then there's like a raid, and they're like, "Oh, we heard someone here is a Burnish," and turns out the guy who makes the pizzas is a Burnish because he can make the wood oven stove like exactly the heat they need. Um, and so the main character Gallo is like a big guy who's like, I hate people who burn things. I hate fires, and that's why I'm firefighter because I want to
Gallo is
save
the
people.
biggest himbo in anime. That's the best way to put it.
Yes, yes. He is 100% like passionate. He is like, there's good, there's evil. I fight the evil. I am a good boy, and everyone's like, it's not that simple. And he's like, I'm just gonna punch things to death.
He will punch out the fire.
And uh, and he starts to like learn these things about the Burnish, and it like he starts to like sort of change his minds on things. And to not avoid spoiling things as you go through the movie, like you start getting plot twists and things get switched around on you. But the reason why I just bring it up is because like it does a constant integrating of 3D and 2D animation. Like all of the conversations and like stuff that aren't fight is like traditional 2D anime stuff of people talking to each other, hand drawn. But then so many of the fights, like the mecha fights, are technically 3D character models with like 2D effects drawn over them. But it's like integrated back and forth. Sometimes you'll see like through the cockpit window, you'll see the two characters as 2D models talking, 2D illustrations talking to each other inside a 3D model. A 3D model will pick up the 2D ones and throw them. And the only reason why I can tell is because I've watched a lot of anime and I play a lot of video games, and I know how like a flat image looks differently from like a three-dimensional image. But for a good chunk of that movie, when I first watched it, I was like, "Is this 3D? Is this 2D?" I feel like it keeps switching, and it was hard to tell. And eventually, you just don't care because, like, shit, like, what if a like a dragon made out of fire, was just like flying through the sky, blowing things up, shooting like triangle flame blasts because they do this neat effect where all of the flames are like tiny, tiny triangles, and there's like a metaphor that develops out of it towards the end of the movie. But it's also like the fire is triangles because triangles are like the basis of 3D models, and that's also like a cool thing in and of
Oh,
itself.
this whole movie is just cool nods to the anime. It's just a cool movie. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb, but it's also like looks directly at the person watching and says, "Hey, yeah, it's dumb, but also
It's
it's cool
Deus
as
Ex
shit.
Machina
Who gives
dumb.
a shit?" Yeah, exactly.
Now, John, where can I watch this movie?
No, you can
Where-
rent it on
where-
Amazon.
Yeah,
I own it on Amazon.
that's probably
You
the
can
only
use
way.
my Amazon account to watch it.
That's the. Oh, actually, no. It's on HBO Max now.
Oh, is it on
Oh
HBO Max?
shit!
Yeah.
Brian, do we want to do a Discord watch along with this
Yeah, we can do
tonight?
that.
Ooh. Yeah, because there's a weird company called G
G Kids.
Yeah, they do a bunch
Did they
of
license it?
yeah. They have the license to
Okay,
Premiere.
that's cool. That's cool.
They do a lot of anime movies now, and they're kind of like a what's the word? Prestige like anime licensee that brings
Yeah,
like
I would
specific
call them
movies
the
to America.
middleman because what's what I'm looking for?
It's dubbed by
Ghibli wanted to get away from Disney after a lot of things they didn't like that Disney would edit in
Yeah.
and edit out. So they went to them, and that's kind of where I first heard of G Kids is they would get the
Yeah.
weirder Ghibli licenses, and now they pretty much, if it's an anime movie in the States, they're probably licensing it through G Kids.
Yeah, I think the only exceptions are like Funimation gets everything like Dragon Ball Z or
Oh, anything with like an owned license,
all the
yes,
big
but all the original.
shonens are like still with the regular dubbers, but like
Mhm.
anything that's like a unique movie specific property goes through them. Yes.
I'm looking at the cast list for it right now, and Crispin Freeman is in the dub version of it,
Yes.
and that
pretty good.
has me sold. Like what you're talking about has me sold, but seeing this has me really sold now.
He is probably, I think, one of the best characters in the movie.
Can you tell me who he plays?
Cray?
Cray Forsyth.
Okay, he plays Cray.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see
Yeah.
that.
Like
So-
I'm over here like Winston, Alucard, Firefly,
Mhm.
Arkham Origins. Like this
Yep.
has me sold.
Yeah, he does a very good. I mean, when has Crispin Freeman done a bad job? Like, there
That's
are
fair.
only a select few people who have managed to make the transition from like anime to like video game and animation acting, and he was
Did
like
he
one of the first ones.
Did he do Will Turner in Kingdom Hearts 2? I know he did in 3, and 3 was great, but Kingdom Hearts 2 was Port Royal was just bad.
I'm not sure
Looking
because
right now.
I think that was earlier on in his career. Because that game came out in like 2006, so he might have still been doing.
2005, he was Will Turner, yeah.
Okay, that's
he was-
probably.
He was Setzer as well.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy VI character.
Mhm.
He's the struggle fight boss.
All right, let's get back on track. We're going into Kingdom Hearts territory, and that's a place where we can all get
says
stuck for
Anime
hours.
Nation. No, yeah, you're right. You're right. But basically, to sum things up, Promare is probably the most intense animated film I've ever seen. It's just got really, 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 really good fight scenes. Just a very interesting, smart mix of 3D and 2D animation. And while the story, it's not trying to be smart, but it's trying to keep you on your toes because there are some plot twists. There are themes there that are very interesting, and it's very much like a good versus bad guys movie. The way they did, there was when I saw it live in theaters, there was like a 15-minute interview that they aired as soon as the movie ended with the
Yeah,
creators.
that's cool.
Yeah, and Imaishi describes his style, the stuff he makes, like Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill. He calls it kabuki style anime, and he's saying that like it's not supposed to be like super in deep or smart, but it's supposed to make you feel intensely. And like all the other animators that were there were talking like they
The
made like
feeling.
the emotions are very intense. There's a lot of situations where people like that's why this like all of these shows that I described have this dumb bullshit thing where like people get really mad and that makes them stronger. People get really excited and that makes them stronger. And it's all about like self-empowerment by like believing that failure is impossible makes failure impossible. It's redundant, but if you're ever like stressed or exhausted, like this movie pumps you up.
Oh, it
And
does.
it makes you ready to take on the world. I love it so much. And that's why
Before
I talked
we move on
too much about this.
before we move on. No, thank you, John. That's actually a lot of fun. Before we move on from that, I have two things I want to say on this movie before we go to my first movie. And one is a good friend of mine, Sarah, she went and saw this movie 9 times in theaters while it was out. And I saw it like 5 with her. God damn, this movie just slaps every time. Especially the music in it. The music is the second thing I want to give a shout out to.
Damn.
The music in this movie is phenomenal. It is on its next level. And this movie of the dumb but really well animated kind of story and all that. I mean, like, yeah, of course, John brought up the emotional stuff. Leads perfectly into my first movie. The first movie I'm talking about is 2009's Redline. A movie that is
yeah, here we go.
a movie that has nothing but balls to the wall action and true beauty of an animation. It is a anime movie made entirely out of hand-drawn animation in 2009. Took them 7 years to make this film.
And by
And it is-
hand drawn, it's not like on digital. It's like literally
No.
inking and
Yeah.
printing, drawing on paper in 2009. It is one of the most expensive anime movies ever made, and it looks gorgeous.
Oh,
I'm looking at screenshots for it right now.
yeah. Take a look at them. It is.
The way I would describe this movie is anime wacky racers starring Travis Touchdown of No More Heroes. That is
Yeah.
not an exaggeration at all.
I am sold.
That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know, and he's
Like-
not wrong.
Where can I watch this?
I believe it's also on Amazon.
That's the one problem with these anime movies. They're like people don't like
Oh,
streaming.
one of mine we'll get to. You can't even find.
Oh no.
But no, Redline is just. It's adrenaline shot into your veins. That's the best way to explain watching Redline.
Yep.
Is
So it's like watching Kick-Ass 2. All right, I'm all down.
It is just the premise is very, 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 very simple. Is it every 10 years?
every 10, I forget. However many years, there's a big intergalactic street race that happens. It's Fast and the Furious meets anime meets space meets
But
pompadours.
What's so awesome is that it's not as simple as like once every 10 years we show up and we just book it. No, it's once every 10 years this giant spaceship just goes to a random planet and says race. Everyone shows up, they race. That's it. Just like 4 sets of robots come up and they're like, this is the starting line, this is the finishing line, go. That's it.
And-
no rules.
This
Just
is wacky
whatever
racing.
you got that moves,
It's wacky
go.
races. Another thing that's cool about it is some of the car designs of these big outlandish space vehicles, like super science fiction, and then the main character just drives a 1960s freaking Mustang, the straight
damn.
American muscle car.
It's specifically a Trans Am.
Is it a Trans Am?
Yeah,
That's
it's
fun.
This movie, you have to bring up Mustangs now. Damn it.
there's a good chunk of the movie that's just like, now why would this dude drive a Trans Am? And they're like, I'm gonna show you why. Look at this engine. This is a space engine. It has neon lights. It's a gamer engine. That's why he can drive a regular ass car, because the engine is space.
The engine's lining up like this. This is how the engine looks.
Oh god. Okay. Damn it.
No, this movie, the best, without giving away anything, and the keep time on place. My selling points in this movie is just watch it for the pure fact that in 2009 they spent 7 years hand drawing a fucking anime movie, and also it's just fucking fun. This movie, like, there's not a lot to it. I'll admit that the story's a little weak, but it's fun. It's just fun to watch. It's just eye candy.
I love a good eye candy. So you know what? I'm sold. Like, if it's gonna get my adrenaline pumping and I'm gonna go make the boys proud and go to the gym, let's do it. Let's watch it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You look at a double feature of Pro Man, you'll be moving.
Oh man, That is like cocaine, like Promare
That's
and
just
Redline.
that's,
Is just
that's
like,
anime cocaine right there.
oh,
I work tomorrow night. So what you're saying is before I go to work, watch Redline and Pro.
Yeah, and then you'll be
they're just like pure, like when people think of like anime specifically and like the big balls to the walls like Dragon Ball Z fights or like mechas clashing against each other, they think of Promare and Redline are like the best examples of those. Just
Yeah.
the
Alright.
cars, every like. Here's another way to phrase Redline is what if Pod Racer the movie? Because every single car in Redline is like unique
What
and like
if
an
Pod
extension
Racer
of the
movie?
driver, and they do such a good job of like like they just warp the animation constantly. There's a part where the main character is like, I'm gonna activate the nitrous, and it's just like in the very first Fast and the Furious where the game is
Yep.
like, whoa, it is like streaming and stuff, except it actually looks cool and not like a weird blue screen effect that looks really really cheap in 2001.
No, this movie is just pure eye candy, and I think that's the way I want to end this conversation on. Is that it's just eye candy.
Damn it.
And with that, Richie, what's your second movie?
All right, so I was having trouble deciding if I wanted to talk about this movie when you approached me with this, and after a few weeks, I decided because of my love for the franchise, I'm going with another video game movie for anime, and that is Dragon Quest: Your Story, the Dragon Quest movie that is based all around Dragon Quest V, and it is a weird hybrid of like 3D, like CGI animation type. I don't know the proper term for it, but it's also another one that's on Netflix, and it caught me by surprise. And I've actually never played Dragon Quest V. That is the one Dragon Quest game I've actually never played, and everyone's like, "You need to play it." So I was like, "Okay, well, I'll watch this movie and see how I feel about the
It's
story."
real good.
Damn it, I'm adding it to the list.
That's
But overall, it has a stellar story because I mean, it does follow the events of Dragon Quest V to the T up into a certain point, which is the big plot twist at the end. I don't want to. I kind of actually want to talk about the ending, unless I get the veto from you both, because a lot of people hated the ending's twist.
I am not aware of either Dragon Quest V or this film, so I'm fine, I guess.
Also, I'm fine with that. Also, thank you, Excalus1 for the follow.
I know him.
Yeah.
That's my boy. So,
Alright.
so to start off, we have Yuri voicing Luca, who's the main character, which for the
Yuri
English dub, which,
Lowenthal?
oh yeah,
Okay.
and like
So-
as soon as I heard his voice, I was like, all right, I'm sold, because I was playing Spider-Man when I watched this movie too. So
I watch
I was
everything dubbed. I mean subbed. So, who does that person voice in other things I know?
You might know him as the
Yuri.
original.
He's Yosuke in Persona 4. He's Spider-Man, Peter Parker, in Insomniac
Oh,
Spider-Man.
yeah. Okay, that's the one you can say. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's Yuri.
I will forever know him as the English voice of Sasuke because
Yeah.
Naruto and Toonami was like one of the first moments where I was like, okay, so this is what anime is. When I was like learning what anime was and getting into it on a deeper level as opposed to just whatever Toonami throws at. Like, I know it's what was thrown at me, but at some point I caught up and I was like, how do I watch more Naruto? And the internet was like, we've got 80 more episodes ready for you, buddy. And I was like, let's go. What, they're all filler? None of this matters?
Fans translated? Fantastic. Okay, so just from looking at this movie, it really captures that Dragon Quest Akira style. Like
Yeah,
that
it
art
does.
style. Like I just
It
saw
does,
an
and like,
image of King Blob. And he's great.
dude,
King Slime looks fantastic.
the whole movie does look fantastic, and like it captures every moment like I wanted it to. Like when I would think of a Dragon Quest movie, and apparently to the game, it's spot on.
Uh,
So the whole premise of it is it's called Your Story, Well, it turns out so it follows the hero's journey all the way up until the very end where he's supposed to quote unquote die.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a glitch in the system. What is going on? What is this? Well, it turns out that it's actually just a VR game that he's playing at some convention. The main character isn't even Yuko or Luko. He's a guy playing a game. And he's like, yeah, Dragon Quest was my favorite game growing up. I remember when my mom gave it to me on the Super Famicom back in the 1990s, and I was just like, this is what? And then like he goes back into the game, completely wrecks the final quote unquote boss, and lives out his life in game like with his love life and his child. And I'm just like, this is some wholesome shit. I love it.
Oh my. Okay.
And like a lot of people were like,
That's wacky.
this twist was so unnecessary. Why don't you just follow the actual game? And I was like, wow. The movie's called Your Story. This guy is making his story. It fits. And as the lit RPG fan in me, where a lot of lit RPG books are like, hey, you know, we're playing VR MMORPGs where we just make our own choices.
It's Sword Art Online.
I was like, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. And like he at one point he gets frozen for like I think like 5 years or something, and his kid comes back and finds his body, and it's just like, what the hell is going on? But like the animation is absolutely fantastic. The story stellar. The voice acting just like kick me in the face. It's that good. And like
All right.
it does your like classic like tropes too. Like, oh, he's in love or he thinks this princess is the girl for him, but he realizes he's been in love with his best friend all along.
I do love
Y-
that trope.
You sold me. That's a classic trope. Give it to me. Just
All
let's
right.
go.
All right. It's rare, Richie, but I'm adding it to my list.
So what you're
You better
telling
have
me is
Nino
this
Kuni
game
too.
is Roy the game from Rick and Morty, but Dragon Quest.
Pretty much, yeah.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'll
Except
definitely
you
check
know,
both
like
of these out.
we don't see his death. That's the thing. We just don't see
Yeah,
it.
gotcha.
Like you get all the gut punches and everything of like, oh god, is this character gonna die? Oh no, no, please no. And then yeah, it's really good. And a lot of people said that the sub's a lot better. Once again, I mainly do the dubs just because that's just how my mind thought process works a lot more efficiently. But I do plan on at some point watching the sub for this just to see like how different it is compared to the dub.
Okay. And with that, we're going to move on to my boy John over here. What's your second movie?
Okay, so I promise I won't go as overboard with this one. But when I asked modern versus classic, this is the classic one I was thinking of. And I have to at some point mention Kiki's Delivery Service because it is such an important game anime movie in my life because it was my first Miyazaki movie I ever watched. I was 10 years old and it was my birthday. Um and I think it was like just after like all the kids like had gone home. My mom was like, I don't want kids at my house too late. So it was like 4 or 5 in the afternoon because we like started early and ended early as well. Um so at that time, Toonami once once a year would be like month of Miyazaki. We're gonna show a bunch of Miyazaki movies, in a row, and I didn't know who the hell Miyazaki was because I was 10.
It was Happy Spirited Away was on TV.
This was I think before Spirited Away came out. Like, well, it was no. This would have been like post Mononoke, but before Spirited Away, because it was like 2001 or so.
That sounds about right.
Um, so I was just like, okay, I'll watch this show, I guess, and I just see this witch girl saying goodbye to her family, and I'm like, oh, what's she doing? And she's just like, I'm just gonna live in this town now, and I'm like, oh, a 13-year-old is just gonna fuck off and live alone in a city, okay. And as a 10-year-old, I just loved everything had to have fighting in it. Like I loved Powerpuff Girls, and my dad was like, "You shouldn't watch that. That's a girl show." And I'm like, "They're punching the teeth out of monsters. Like, how is this? If this is a girl show, I'm a girl, I guess." Because like that was cool to me, and somehow, like even as like a hyperactive 10-year-old, I was just sitting there and I was just like, I'm just vibing. This is just like this girl is just like showing up, and I'm like, oh, the people don't like her. They're like, hey, I'm busy doing people stuff. It's a busy city in the middle of nondescript Europe, maybe Italy, perhaps. They don't ever like
I think
make
it looks like Italy.
it gave me Venice vibes.
It's damn good.
Kiki's delivery service is
Yeah.
to me, it is the anime equivalent of mac and cheese. It just makes you feel at home. Like, it's warm and comforting and nice and just well,
I
the
think of
past
it
two
as
anime movies
like
we
a
talked
cup of
about was
cocoa with
cocaine.
Yeah.
This is just a nice warm meal. This is just a nice time.
I
to
would
lay
call
down
it
and
a warm cup of cocoa with some marshmallows inside on
That's a
a
lovely
rainy, snowy day.
So my experience with this movie, I watched it around the same time. I think it was probably my second or third Miyazaki film, which my first one will be my final one, and I'll cover that. But the tone difference between these two is so different.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
and I just looked at the cast list, and I was today years old when I learned that Kirsten Dunst was the English voice for Kiki.
Yep.
How did I not
No.
know this?
Yeah, she
How
was
did
the
I
English
not
voice
know
for
this?
Kiki, because that was pre-Disney and in the weird time where because I believe it was the first thing where after Princess Mononoke came out, and film snobs were like, "Holy shit, this is a cartoon!" That they were like, "What other Miyazaki movies are? We gotta get them. We gotta sell the shit out of it." And so one of the more recent ones was, well, at this point it would have been like 5-7 years old, was Kiki's Delivery Service, and so budding young actress at the time, Kirsten Dunst, was like, "All right, you're gonna voice this teenage girl that's gonna be a witch lady." And then another one of the weird things that they did that's not super problematic, but is kind of like a not accurate to the Japanese version, was that they were like, let's make the cat sassy. You know what's popular? Sabrina the Teenage Witch. What if this black cat talked like the black cat in that show? Uh, so the black cat is always like making sassy jokes and lines and stuff.
Wait, so the cat's not supposed to be sassy?
It's more in it is, but in the Japanese, it's more what's the word?
I would
Straightforward.
I would call him he's straight faced. He is
It's
the
stone like when someone says something like straight laced, but it sounds funny that they're saying it in a regular voice. It's that kind of humor.
he's a dry kind of humor kind of cat.
Yeah, okay.
Not so much the zany over the top. Also, okay. Also, just a great movie.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything bad to say about Kiki's Delivery Service. It's just fun.
It's a nice calm movie where like not a lot happens, but like enough happens to the like in the story where it just keeps you kind of intrigued throughout the
I
entire.
remember as a kid being like, is something gonna happen? But also, I don't mind it if the entire show is I'm doing a delivery service. Oh no, I can't use my broom anymore. Okay. Uh, I got really into doing my delivery service like the bicycle way, and now I can use my broom again because like I just learned to live for like myself and not for my powers. And then the movie's like, uh, what if Dillinger is gonna like, or what are they? Dirigible. What if a dirigible almost crashes and she has to save the boy that's been like crushing on her the entire movie? And I was like, I'm okay with this too. But I would have also been okay if the movie was like, no one is in danger in this movie. This movie is about a girl that starts her delivery business, and
The
that's
danger gone.
but it's still a good. It's still a cool scene. Not really necessary, but it had some tension.
So
It's just a good vibes movie.
So on track of good vibes movies, and also that the next I want your movie right now is a Ghibli film, so I'm going to double that with my next movie being a Ghibli film as well, and a movie that I do know this movie has problems, but it takes me back to such a simpler time in my life that just love this film. The music can just send me back there, and that is Howl's Moving Castle. I first off, the English dub for this is a whack cast. I will admit that it is a whack cast, but the Japanese sub is fantastic.
You can tell exactly when that movie came out
Oh
because
yeah,
like it is literally like, hey, Monsters Inc. was a hit. Let's get Billy Crystal. Hey, people like that new Batman movie is coming out. Let's get Christian Bale. It's just like a who's who of like who's popular in the mid 2000s.
Oh yeah, it's great. But
Brian, I'm fighting it.
what are you fighting, Richie?
You know I'm fighting what I want to say.
What do you want to say?
Well, you
Can
brought
I
it.
get out? Can I get out what I would like to say first because I like this movie and I wanna say why before I remember that I shouldn't like it.
Oh, give me why you like it, because I also love this movie.
So this was the first, like, I guess like a lot of people, between Kiki's Delivery Service, I watched Spirited Away at some point and I found it real spooky and scary because like my only knowledge of Miyazaki somehow was Kiki's Delivery Service and Spirited Away. And that has like demons and pig people and I was like, "Whoa, spooky." And then I watched Howl's Moving Castle, and then there was one summer I had off from school where I wasn't doing anything in the summer, and I'd wake up at like 10 in the morning every day and like just vibe because I didn't like have anywhere to be. And I think Indie Film Channel, for some reason, was like, "What if we just played Howl's Moving Castle every day?" So every day I'd watch like different parts of Howl's Moving Castle every single day for 2 or 3 months because they just play it at this exact same time every day.
Did you at least get the whole movie?
There was one point where like I caught it before it even started and I watched the whole movie through. I
Okay.
mean, like I think I did watch it the whole way. Like I'd seen it in full before I saw this. It was just really interesting that for a good 1-2 months I just could watch Howl's Moving Castle every single day and just like take a look at like focus in on like animations and stuff going on in the background because every single scene in this movie there is stuff moving like in the background, like especially in the castle where like Sophie will be talking to Hal and you'll see stuff bubbling around in the back or like people chattering, or like whenever there's like a busy city scene you'll see crowds walking around but like dust moving and like birds chirping.
Oh, so
Miyazaki movies shouldn't be screenshot. They are all GIFs.
they
And like
are.
every second of it should be a GIF. And I understand that there are problems in this movie, but I think it is still a very beautiful movie. And I really like the color scheme of it. Like it's got really rich colors. And I
Oh,
like that part of it too.
it's gorgeous.
It's
No. This movie, I rewatched it this weekend with a few friends. One of them has actually a tattoo from this movie of the symbol, of like the Howl symbol and everything, and all that. And goddamn, this movie just, yes, it has its glaring problems, and I know the plot's whack,
I
but
don't know the plot. I
I don't
gotta be
either.
honest, I don't know
I,
really know what
I
happens.
know the romance subplot, and I know
I-
Turnip Head. There's something there though.
There's a
Right.
castle that moves. That's the plot.
There's a castle that moves. There's a girl that becomes old lady. Something can make her not old lady, but I don't know what. There's a war, but like that's not important. Don't think about it.
No.
Hal's supposed to fight in the war, but like he doesn't care, and nobody really seems like they're like, could you please fight on our side in the war? But like if it's not a big deal, I guess that's fine. Like it'd just be nice.
What
I
I have
don't
to say about this movie
get it.
is that there's a few things that really put awe on my face, and and one of the moments where I can think of that. And for me, it was I got into anime very young through other Ghibli. So I remember when Howl's Moving Castle like came out. I remember renting it from Blockbuster, putting it in for the first time, being like, just watching the castle move as a young kid. I was like, that's really fucking
DVD or
gorgeous.
VHS? Was that still a thing back then? That might have been not a big deal at that time.
I don't remember. It could have been VHS. I remember watching the Digimon movie on VHS. I wanted to at least make one mention of the Digimon movie today.
I know I have a VHS of Elf, and that came out in 2006. And that's
So there's a possibility.
That's the last VHS I ever remember buying.
But no, this movie is just watch it because it's pretty. Like, it's pretty and fun. Just
At
watch
some
it.
point, you have to watch every Miyazaki movie.
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much.
It is written in the anime like law.
Laws. It's number 3.
Like you watch every episode of or every Miyazaki series, you watch at least like 3 Shonen Jump animes and realize they're all bad by the time you're like 20. Like that should be a rule at least. If you're still like Naruto, like if you still think Naruto is good at 25, I think you're socially repressed and you need to do
Sweet.
something
I got
about that.
one more year to keep this belief.
I have the belief. I am 25. Thank you for attacking me like that, John.
Oh no! I think it's got good moments, but I think at some point the writer is just like, I don't really give a shit what happens. I'm just gonna do whatever my editors say
God.
will make me.
We're not
You
getting
know
into Naruto right now. Richie, what is your Ghibli, if your final pick and your Ghibli pick?
Hold on. First, I want to go back to Howl's Moving Castle really quickly.
No,
You
you're
said
not bringing
Christian-
this up.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I promise. It's not going where you think it is. I promise.
Okay.
I do enjoy Christian Bale's performance in Howl's Moving Castle. I do actually enjoy it.
I'm down with that.
It was good. Like
Billy Crystal as Calcifer is amazing.
It is very understated, but like, yeah, I think this is one of my more preferred of the Ghibli movies that got like a big celebrity cast. Like, I think some of them haven't aged super well because you can tell like, oh, they're just doing that thing. But I think everything in Howl's Moving Castle like fits in together, partially because Howl's Moving Castle is such a weird, disparate movie of like parts and pieces like plugged together. But I think in terms of casting, it works out.
And so with that, I think we're a good place to stop with Howl's.
yeah.
Where we going? Where we going, Richie?
You know, we've been keeping that like feel good like trope going right
Yeah.
now. Like we've been having like a really good like wholesome conversation. I'm
Mhm.
about to fucking ruin that. We're gonna talk about Princess Mononoke. Okay.
Yep.
The first time I ever watched this film, I think it was either on Disney Channel or like ABC Family. Like during one of the like weird times, like they're like, "Hey, we're showing a Saturday night movie."
I'm going to tell you right now, that shit was never on Disney Channel. Disney does not allow straight up arrow beheadings on Disney Channel. Like,
But it was ABC Family.
definitely, I can see it on ABC Family.
So, I mean, they allowed Hocus Pocus on Disney Channel, and we all know there's some stuff in that movie. So Princess Mononoke being on Disney Channel like wouldn't surprise me. Like especially if it's like 8 p.m. on a Saturday night.
I guess so.
Like even a Friday night, I feel like it would fit. But I remember like watching this for the first time, which this was my first Miyazaki film, and also I'm learning this today. My first exposure to Neil Gaiman, because he did the English adaptation version of
Yeah, he pushed for it to come to the States.
yeah. And like I'm realizing how much I love Neil Gaiman, so much. But
The fucking Sandman did something special.
I just watched this movie today again for the first time in probably about a year. It's a lot fucking darker than I remember. Like I remember like kind of the comment you made earlier, John. I remember the movie being dark, but it's always darker than I remember.
Yep.
Like when he's carrying the girl out of the town after like she's trying to assassinate the like head chief of the village, And he's like, no. Like, no, I'm just gonna carry her out of here. And then he gets shot, and I'm like, I don't fucking remember this. I don't remember this being a thing. And he's just like, yep, I'm gonna be a badass good guy and just carry her out. Even though I have a giant bullet hole in my chest at the moment.
Do you remember the whole leopard scene in that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, no, that movie touches on some dork shit.
And like it for me in like a Miyazaki film, like I'm like, like he has some really good wholesome films, like My Neighbor Totoro, Hell's Moving Castle, Kiki's Delivery Service, Spirited Away's even got like its wholesomeness. I don't really remember much of that movie, gonna be honest there. I feel like Princess Mononoke might be one of the darker. I think it might be his darkest film. Correct me if I'm wrong.
He does not ever get that dark after Princess Mononoke. So
It's fucking wild.
I haven't seen The Wind Rises. I know that's about a guy who made World War II planes that killed people. So that might be dark in the like, I'm an old man, and like as an adult, you're like, man, you can sometimes get away with doing terrible things. That's like an adult problem. But like, in terms of like death, murder, demons and spirits fighting each other, Mononoke is definitely like that is dark in every way, shape, and form.
Like, it's like, hey, do you want a really heartwarming moment? Too fucking bad. You're getting like straight death through this movie, okay? Like we're gonna start it off with, we're just having like it's a nice open field. We got this young guy. He's riding his deer thing. I don't know what the hell that creature's called. His mount. We'll just call it his mount. Like, hey, let's go talk to this old guy over in the tower. Oh, what the hell is that? What is this creature crawling out of the forest? Oh, it's a boar being consumed by a demonic energy.
Like
Okay.
A bunch of like slug eel thingies just slipping and sliding all over the place.
And then you learn that it infects people. It's a demon that just starts infecting people.
Which, by the way, a pretty cool infection. Like at first he's like, hot to the touch, and I'm like, oh, that sucks, man. I hope you get better. And then he's like, shoots an arrow, beheads someone, and then he like punches things. I'm like, okay, so how is this a curse? Because it seems like you're Superman now. You're just like shrugging off. Like, by the way, that bullet hole is like the size of this head on my shirt. Like, it's not like, oh, I got a bullet hole through my chest. It's like, no, my entire stomach and guts are missing. It's back. It grew back.
Yeah, like it's such a damn good, like it has me on the edge of my seat like the entire time. Each time I watched it. What's that?
Oh, just where there's another part where we're talking still about characters and stuff in the beginning of it and all that. That I want to give a shout out to this movie for the strong women in this movie.
Oh hell yeah!
Lady Ibushi of the Iron, what is it? The Ironworks, I believe. So.
Which she's played by Minnie Driver in the English version, and she captures it.
She's just a badass.
She's kind of a bitch.
She is, but she does what she needs to take care of her town.
Oh yeah.
What I like about this movie is that it proves that Miyazaki is a capital F feminist, because all of these characters are strong, driven, they have their individual arcs, and some of them suck. Some of them are awful human beings. But part of what I like about this movie so much is that there's like a billion factions and none of them are 100% right. And that includes what you would think would be the protagonists of the film, or the heroic sides of the film, and that's the animal spirits. They're not 100% right either. All the animals are like, forest spirit kind of sucks. He's supposed to protect us, but like sometimes he doesn't, and like the gorillas are just like, I don't give a shit, like fuck him, he's not helping us.
Yeah, like when they're running away and is it San? Is that her name? Am I drawing a blank? San? She's like, what are you guys doing? And he's like, hey, he doesn't care about us. We're just running. Like, get out of here while you can.
And like, what I like about the female characters is that she's trying to take care of these women who their options to survive are either be prostitutes or and then she collects them into a village where they can be protected and they can survive on their own. And what I like is that it doesn't shame them for the fact that they were prostitutes because all of these women fuck. Like they're like this guy shows up and they're like, I know I have a husband, but like look at this dude. I
Like,
did that. And like it's you're not supposed to be like these ladies, they're so rude. No, the movie is very much like these women can get it and they're right. They're right and they should say it. And I
well,
respect it cuz like you don't see that in a lot of anime where women are like that and portrayed as like not a negative aspect.
and so like you bring that up, and like one of the like I think badass moments is when the three samurais are riding up to the village, and the girls are just standing on top of the wall, and like they're just pointing their guns at him, and they're like, "Hey, don't come any fucking closer!" Like,
Fuck around and find out. We're
yeah, fuck
ready.
around. And one of them does fuck around, and he found out
Find
really
out.
quickly.
Yep. Ugh.
God, hell of a film.
God, it's such like, and if you look at the English cast, like Keith David's the narrator, but he's also Okudo. And I'm like, that's perfect. Like you get the
Mhm.
like deep voice, not Morgan Freeman, but also like on par with Morgan Freeman in my opinion. Like I
I
loved
yeah.
David growing up. Like I mean, I think my first like break to him was Agent Cody Banks, where he's the
Yeah.
leader of the
Oh.
FBI or the CIA, whatever fucking organization they were. But also you have Jada Smith, Gillian Anderson,
Mhm.
Billy Bob Thornton is in the movie, which I was
Somehow it worked. I
it
didn't I when I first because like Mononoke, I discovered it around the time when I was like actually aware of anime. So when I saw Billy Bob Thornton, I was like, oh, they're doing that thing. And then I watched it and I'm like, oh no, he rocks it. Because that character is a dirty scoundrel that claims to be a monk and abuses his connection to the spirit realm for his own gain. And that's how Billy Bob Thornton plays him as like one of those country guys that's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just a humble farmer going around. Oh, pickpocketed. He just stole my wallet."
Yep.
That's the guy who plays.
And
I
like
have
Yeah.
both
a
go
funny
ahead.
story is that I saw it last year for the first time because I've seen it like 2 or 3 times and every time I saw it with my group of friends I was like, "Hey guys, I'm really tired. I pulled an all-nighter. Let's not watch a serious movie." And someone was like, "Let's watch Princess Mononoke." On this random night where we're just hanging out. And I was like, let's bust it out. And I fall asleep halfway through, not because it's bad, just because like I was so sleep deprived that like as soon as like the show gets not violent, I'm like just pass out.
It gets
But
not violent for like 5 minutes, and then it just goes back to violence.
I feel like the scene with like the spirit lasts a little chunk because it's always that scene where he's just like walking around and everything's like and that's a cool thing about the movie is it gets dead silent. Like there's no sound
Oh
effects and
yeah.
it's like so
It,
respectful of the
it's a very
creature.
visual heavy movie too. Like I
Mhm.
thought this was like a maybe it could have been like a 2006 2007 movie. 97. It's a
Yeah.
97 movie,
Yep.
and like there are certain scenes where it just looks like I'm surprised it holds up as well as it does. Like it holds up on par with like how the visuals on Lord of the Rings are.
Yep.
Like it's just visually stunning.
It
Well,
is. I
97 this came out before Toy Story 2. Like
Yeah,
think about compare those two films.
yeah.
Like how badly Toy Story
when
2 is
when I
aged.
think about Princess Mononoke, the thing that always sticks out to me for the beauty of it is when they're walking through the forest and the little children of the trees. I can never think of their names.
I
When
think they're
they
called
all
Kokiri.
Yeah.
Kokiris, when they begin to all shake together and all that,
Mhm.
and all the different face patterns they have, and then not all of them really look that similar, and all that. The little attentions to detail, that's where I really notice it, is when those trees. And it's just gorgeous. It's just
Oh, it
gorgeous.
is. And like it's so smooth and how
Kodama.
everything moves.
Kodama spirits. That's what they were.
Kodama, thank you. And I think that's the best way to end that, Richie, is that it's just a smooth, good movie.
It is. It is. Well,
It is. And with that, what is your third and final movie, John?
So I was gonna maintain this ride since I started with like really intense upbeat movie and then like a chill vibes movie that's just like neither, I don't want to say intense or negative, it's just like solid the way through. So I'm gonna follow Richie's lead, and my final one is going to be The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya,
All right.
which is the like Metal Gear Solid 4 of anime movies, where it's really, 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 really good, but you need so much backstory to enjoy it. Because you have to have seen Haruhi Season 1, 26 episodes, no problem. You have to see Haruhi Season 2 and the Endless 8 within it, because, like, a plot point of the Endless 8 is in this movie. But the weird part is that if you are me, and you did watch both seasons of Haruhi Suzumiya and consider it one of your favorite animes of all time, this movie just wrecks you emotionally.
Oh, Haruhi is the blueprint for a lot of animes I like now. It hit right when my taste in anime was changing from shonen to slice of life.
Yep,
And
same
it
here.
hits.
I
it's
know terms
so
like
good.
tsundere and moe and kawaii from Haruhi Season 1. Haruhi
Yeah.
Season 1 is basically like, welcome, you are a weeb now. Here are all the weeb
Yeah.
things you need to know. You are
Yeah,
now
pretty
you are
much.
now one of those people. I'm sorry.
Here you go.
like
You can
weeb
watch this and
chat
watch
all the time.
4 at the same time. You'll get everything you need.
Yep. But
oh, son of a bitch! My list is growing.
as for
The Disappearance is, I would say, the end cap, but it's not the end cap of the Haruhi story.
yeah, there are like there are 10 novels total, and I think this covers the fourth
This
one.
is 7, I believe. Is it the fourth one?
I thought it was like the fourth or the fifth, because the first
remember.
3 are in seasons 1 and 2, and then I think this was either the fourth or the fifth. Like, it is the next one from where the season 2 ends.
Yes.
But I'm gonna the general premise for The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, the premise for Haruhi, the show, is that Kyon, main character Kyon, is a regular freshman in high school, and he's like, I am a high school boy. It is time for me to become an adult, so I'm taking all of the things that I like video games and mangas. I am not about that life anymore. I am a grown-up about to enter the beginning of society, so now I'm going to be serious and not engage in shenanigans. And then he meets a girl named Haruhi who stands up to introduce herself and is like, hello, I think time travelers, psychics, and people who
Espers.
go through dimensions, espers, are all real fucking cool. Please talk to me. If you're not one of those 3, get the fuck out. I don't give a shit. I want to meet aliens. I want to meet time travelers. I want to meet psychics. I want to meet people who slide through dimensions. And somehow she ends up meeting all of them because this is that kind of a show. And Kyon is at first like, this girl is ridiculous. What the hell? And then she's like, I'm starting a club called the SOS Brigade where we're going to find weird shit. And then everyone that joins the club is one of the weird shit. And then on top of that, it plays with tropes. So like, she's like, in addition to like aliens, time travelers, and espers, I want anime weirdness. I want to find a mysterious transfer student. Mysterious transfer student shows up. I need a kawaii moe girl that I can make like jokes about and that will like be like ooh woo and like trip over herself. Bam, that shows up. I need an alien. The quiet girl that was sitting in the literature club room that she's like, move over, this is our room now. And she's like, okay, that's an alien. And she's like got glasses and is really quiet. And for most of the show, she's just like, she's the Ray of the show. Like when I saw this show, I was like, oh, she's Ray from Evangelion. And Disappearance takes a shift and makes her one of the main characters, while in most of the show, she's sort of a joke character where weird stuff happens and she's like, that's weird, but I don't react because I am an alien without emotions. And so the premise of Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya is Kyon wakes up. Haruhi has never gone to his school anymore. he has never met Haruhi Suzumiya. Haruhi Suzumiya goes to a different school. Everyone else still goes to his school, and he doesn't know why. And everyone acts like, because in this world, no one knows her, and his best friend is Yuki Nagato, and Yuki Nagato is no longer a, the like serious type that is always like speaks in a monotone voice and is super genius. She is like a very shy, like an actual shy, insecure, nerdy girl with glasses, and he's like, you have to know what's going on, because she's like the smart one that always tells what's going on because she's an alien with superhuman intelligence, and it's just them trying to figure out what's going on in this world, and her sort of like becoming aware of her alien self in the other dimension, and it's it is an entire hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, dedicated to what if storyline, and it does that thing where by the end of the movie is like, all right, time to go back to things to the way things should be. We're going back to the real world, and you're like, I don't want that to happen. I just want this version to be happy. I want both to coexist, and the show's like,
But
no, you gotta choose one.
You gotta choose.
It hurts.
Oh,
There is a small amount of things that have, like, I cry a lot. There are small things that make me bawl, that make me like, I was crying, like sobbing out loud. Like, I was so glad that I was watching this alone on the weekend, because like if anyone was like nearby, they would have heard like wailing coming from my dorm room in college. It was probably the best way to watch it.
and
Without being embarrassed.
with that, that perfectly leads into my last movie, which is 5 centimeters per second. The first real big movie from the director of Your Name.
I need to watch this one. I
which-
feel really bad I haven't seen this one.
I haven't.
Shinkai, thank you, Momoto Shinkai.
Makoto
It
Shinkai.
was one of his first movies. It is called 5 centimeters per second. You can watch it on Crunchyroll.
Oh, nice.
And it is the story of a young boy's journey into love and how that affects him throughout different portions of his life. And some of those moments with love are fantastic and magical and all that, and some of them are very somber because that's just what love is. And it captions the emotion of love near perfectly. It is a fantastic romance story cut down to 65 minutes.
That's such a good time.
And it looks gorgeous today still. It holds up near flawlessly.
I don't think Makoto
And-
Shinkai has ever missed, like, visually.
Oh no, he doesn't. But
Like,
this one,
Uh-huh.
I like Your Name, and I like Weathering with You. They're fun, they're pretty, but the more grounded, real world somberness in this movie is fantastic.
I remember one of the big things that I was worried about with Your Name before it came out was that people were saying, Makoto Shinkai, he doesn't like good endings. And then after it came out, because it took me a while to watch it, I remember people saying, oh, that's nice. Makoto Shinkai made a movie with a good ending, with a happy ending. So I know, like, shit is gonna go down in 5 centimeters per second.
And it does.
So if I don't like Your Name.
This is the anti Your Name. I picked this because I wanted to pick a romance story that from a director people would have heard of that does not feel like Your Name.
Okay, so from what you've heard of my tastes, would you think this would be a movie I would like if I did not like Your Name?
Yes.
Okay.
I do know I've met people who say that Your Name is overrated and that this is like heads and tails above it.
I am I am that person. Hello. They do animation. Hello. That'd be me. And with that, we're going to move on to our last segment before, of course, plugs. And that is my manga recommendation,
Ooh.
which is this week. It is Sakamoto Days. It is only a chapter 14 now. It's brand new to Shonen Jump. And it is, imagine if John Wick, when he fell in love and decided to throw away his life of that, but instead of living, a perfect life, he ends up getting fat and working at a convenience store. And then a hitman comes in and tries to kill him, so he has to go back while hiding from his wife and kids that he's still a hitman and deal with the ever occasional assassination attempt. It has amazing action scenes and hilarious comedy.
I
I-
wish this is what we got for John Wick 4, like in 5-7 years. This is what I want.
I just booted up the Shonen Jump app, and it was the first thing that popped up. Ryan, it knew. I downloaded the first chapter real quick, and just the first panels.
I mean, just look at him.
I'm sold. I'm sold. This, oh, damn it.
And with that, we get to plugs. And Richie, what you got to plug for me? Where can people find you?
You can find me over at Twitter at RichDolphus, or also over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/RichDolphus, where I will be playing a variety of games. Ryan and I have been playing Magic the Gathering, kind of coaching segments the past few times I've played that, but like Valhalla, I'm debating playing The Sims tonight for a certain person because I made a promise. Damn it. But yeah, that's where you can find me. RichDolphus on Twitter and twitch.tv/RichDolphus. If you come looking for quality content, who boy you done goofed.
You come for the bad gameplay, you stay for the laughs.
We do have peak comedy. We do have the quality peak comedy.
Oh, yeah. And, John, where can people find you? What are you up to?
Is it all right if I say one last thing about the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya?
Sure. What
I
you got
forgot
for
to mention this. But basically, one of the other big things about it is that the entire tone of the film is like dead serious, and the show is usually like this comedy with like some like introspective existential moments. But the show is very quiet. There is not a lot of music, and most of the music is very somber. While um the movie is like that, and the show is usually very like upbeat. There's a lot of like piano sounds or like synthesizer music that sounds like Kirby music. That's just like beep boop boop beep boop boop boop.
If
Um,
you
and then the movie is just like there's a lot of scenes that are completely silent with characters talking, and that's it. There is just like some stuff that is just like quiet violins or maybe a little cello in the background. It is very serious, and that is something that like it almost feels like you walked into the wrong movie for a second. You're like, I thought I was gonna watch Haruhi and Friends be like silly high school times.
all right.
But as for plugs, I am Twitter at Noisy Shark. I'm trying to do a bunch of things right now. I am working on a review for Super Mario 3D World. I just need to capture footage and then start editing and recording voiceover for that. And then I'm also playing through Persona 5 Strikers, and I plan to review that because I'm just head over heels over Persona. And so whenever I start getting those updated, because I have a YouTube channel, but it's still just like youtube.com/word vomit, numbers and letters. So until then, you can